Hello and welcome to another video. Similar to my 7740 versus 7745 comparison, today is also going to be a comparison of two small freight steam sets released in 1980 and 1983, numbers 7730 and 7727. The reason that I'm comparing them is because they're a very similar class of LEGO 12-volt train, both including a steam engine, 3 goods wagons, a forklift, and a small loop of track. 7730 was released in 1980 at the start of the 12-volt era and was succeeded in 1983 by 7727, which had some more modern parts in it. Alright, so I'm going to do an in-depth comparison of these two trains, but I'm going to start with the engines because I think the engines are the most important parts of the set because they include a lot of rare parts. So I'll be back to compare the full trains and the wagons after. Alright, I'm going to compare the engines close up because I think the engines are the most important part of the train, because they have a lot of rare pieces and the detailing on both of the engines is actually really nice. So I'll start with the front view. You can see, so the left is 7730, the right is 7727. You can see there's some different details. It's a little bit harder to see from the front, but you can see that the roof on 7730 is a little bit shorter than the roof on 7727. So this also got the tile on top. The steam domes are also different. These have the minifigure heads, whereas these have 2x2 round plates and tiles. And you'll see that also from the side when I compare them. The details on the front are also different. So this uses the headlight bricks farther back, which means it's very easy to use a light prism in here. And then the steering wheel has a kind of detail on the front of the boiler and a stickered brick here. The 7727 does not have a stickered brick. And then the 7727 here, the smokestack is a little bit farther towards the front. And then it's got a light in the boiler, which you can put a light brick in. And it's got the two lighting bricks, or two headlight bricks here, same as the 7730, although these you can't really put a light prism in. So I would say if you want to upgrade the sets with lights, you may want to do 7730 if you'd like to upgrade these two, the two lights on the sides, because you can stick a light prism in here very easily, but you can't really put a light prism in here because these headlight bricks are kind of standalone. So you change the look of the train a lot if you wanted to put a lighting brick. You'd have to move these lights much farther back. I don't like that, but you can put a light in the boiler. Now I will change to the side view. Oh, that coupled. All right. So the side view, you can see a little bit more why they are actually very different if you study them closely. At first glance, they don't look that different, but you can see in detail that they are actually quite different trains. So the 7730, you can see this like the side profile of it. I put this one in front. You can see the side profile. Its cab is a little bit more shifted towards the back, and it has kind of almost a, I guess in America we'd call this a fastback, almost a fastback train. I don't know if that's a thing, but it kind of reminds me of like a fastback or hatchback kind of car, because it's got like the sloped back that is, it's like closed and it slopes backwards like that. So from the side here, you can see the windows in front of the doors. These are rare windows, same in the 7730. You can also see the minifigure heads for steam domes and the weights in the sides. These are to increase traction on the motor. The big plastic blocks right here, 2x6x2. And then another difference between the two sets is that the 7730 has black steam cylinders, whereas the 7727 has red steam cylinders. So that's an interesting detail. The black steam cylinders were started in 1980. The red steam cylinders started production in 1983. So every set before 1983 had these black ones, and then after 1983 had the red ones. That's an interesting detail. You can also see, of course, the red motor in the middle. This is the most expensive part of the set by far. It's about $150 because the red motors are very rare, only produced in these two sets and then 7750. Now moving back, you can see the red ladder here. Again, it's different than 7727 in a subtle way. You'll see that when I show the other engine. And then it's got the DB7730 sticker on the door, which of course opens, and then there's room for the minifigure inside. It also has these tonnage stickers on the back. You can see in 7727, the tonnage stickers are in the middle of the train, but these ones are in the back. Just a different detail. I don't think there's one that's better or worse, although I will say that this is a sticker over assembly, which means if you're taking apart the set, you have to kind of take this part apart carefully, where the 7727 stickers are all on the waist, so you don't have to worry about taking apart a stickered assembly by accident. Now moving to the back, you can see there's some ladders, and then these windows are very rare. 1x1x2 black windows, only in this set and 7750. These are about $30 US each. They're very rare. Now moving to the 7727, it's a different design than 7730. So you can see this train has it's a little bit more like almost boxy. The boiler is very even, I would say, and it kind of starts here and then it just goes straight back, whereas 7730 is like the detail in the front, the steering wheel makes it look a little bit less kind of even. And then, another detail is this hose. This is not present on 7730. It's a nice detail, I think. It's a little bit like the 7750, kind of like a tribute to that set. And then underneath it are the weights, and these ones have the tonnage stickers on them, which is a nice detail. Now moving back to the doors, these are the NS stickers, so Netherlands, the Dutch railroads, and the doors open, and then you can see the cabin inside with the engineer, very similar to 7730. Although another difference is that this one does not have the rear windows. So if you want those rear windows, I would definitely recommend 7730 over the 7727 because that one has about $60 worth of black windows in there, that's a lot. Another difference between the two sets is that this one has lights in the back, which can be easily upgraded with a light prism from 7861. You can stick a light prism in here, replace these two bricks, and then the 1x4 brick with a light prism with red lights, and then you can have lights in the back of the train as well. Comparing the undercarriages of the two sets, you can see immediately, I don't know if that's the best angle, I think, yeah, this is okay. You can see immediately that 7727, basically the entire undercarriage is red. So it's very even because this base plate is, everything from the engine is either split into above the base plate or below the base plate, and this base plate is a 6x16, and then there's another 2x6 plate in the front to lengthen it. So everything under this base plate is red, everything above it is black, which kind of is a nice, very even divide between the colors. Whereas in 7730, you can see it's not an even line. Like you have black parts here that are like they're a plate lower than the body of the train, and the black steam cylinders are low, so it's not an even design of black versus red. I know that they made the steam engines red because most German steam engines have red wheelbases, so I think that's a nice detail, and I really like the red wheelbases of these steam engines in the 12-volt era, which they never did in any other era. So between these two sets, you can see the engines are similar, but there's a lot of details that are different if you look at them closely. All right, so now I'll show you the full train that's assembled. I guess I already did the engines for both of these, so no need to go over them, but you can see the engine now is attached to all the wagons for 7730, and I'll show the same for 7727. So the first goods wagon in 7730 is a pretty simple gondola wagon. It's just a basic design with a 6x16 base plate and then some walls on the outside. You also get the DB stickers on the side. I think that's a pretty cool detail because 7727 does not have those DB stickers, and then these shutters can open. So overall, pretty nice design for that first wagon, but very simple. The undercarriage is pretty standard. The next wagon is a boxcar wagon, and these doors also open, just like the 7730's. The first wagon, there's just a simple interior. They didn't have the sliding doors like in 7727, so these are the earlier kind of the 1x4x6 doors on the hinges, same as the 7820 mail van. It's also got I'm not sure what that is, looks like a place for a minifigure to stand, and then a brake post in the back, so you can see there's a little bit of overhang from the brake post over the base plate. And then it's got the same kind of standard undercarriage, although the stepping bar you can see is light gray under there, different from the first wagon. I would also say it comes with a forklift because you can load the goods pallets into the boxcar. It's a pretty simple forklift, and then it's also got the 4 goods pallets. Oops, I knocked it over. So you can put the goods pallets on the forklift, and then it's got a spring inside, similar to 7727 again. They're very similar sets, but the 7727's forklift is a little bit nicer in design. And then the last wagon is actually a tanker wagon. It has 3 vertical tankers. I really like the design of the Technic pieces that are kind of feeding into those vertical tankers. It's got 2 on this side and then 2 on the other side, facing into different tankers. I will also note that the cones on top are quite rare. I think the ones in yellow only appeared in this set. That is the last wagon of the set. And oh yeah, and it's also got the nice ladders and then some bars on either end. So that's a full set of 7730. Now we'll compare it to the full set of 7727. So again, I already went over the engine, but the two mill goods wagons, I'll go over these kind of together because they're the exact same wagon. They just have different pallets. You can see the undercarriage is exactly the same. The designs of the wagons are exactly the same, except for the goods pallets, which are actually stuck on with bricks right now, but I'm not going to take those off because I don't like them rattling around when the train's moving, so they're stuck on with bricks. But there are 4 different pallets. This one, the first one here, looks like it has some lumber. The second one here has a small buggy, which you can take out of the wagon. The third one is a container. It does have the opening doors. I'm not going to open those right now because they're blocked by another piece, but those can open. You can store things inside. And then the last pallet is looks like some blue barrels. I'm not sure what. And the last wagon here is the boxcar. And this has the new sliding doors for 1983. These kind of snap open. And then there's space inside for an extra pallet, which is right now on the forklift. And they kind of snap closed as well. Undercarriage is the same. The undercarriage is pretty standard for most freight wagons. Now, the last part of the set is this small forklift. It's a little bit bigger than 7730's forklift because it has like the big wheels and a bigger kind of cabin area, and the roof also hinges up. So there's a minifigure inside, and then the spring can also tilt, or the forklift spring can also tilt, which is a nice detail. And then it's got the larger forks for the 6-stud wide pallets. All right, so that was it in terms of the comparison between the two sets. Now I'm going to compare pricing for these sets. In terms of pricing, the pricing between these two sets is fairly similar. They start at around $250 if you don't want the box, but they get pretty expensive if you do want the box. 7727 in particular can get quite expensive, up to $700, $750 if you want a complete box in good condition. 7730 is even rarer with a complete box and sells for a little bit less because the box is a little bit sturdier, but it can also sell for about $600 with a complete box. So overall, the pricing is very similar, and if you don't really care for the box, they can be found for around $250 to $300 in good use condition. So in terms of compatibility with other sets, so like their interactions with other freight wagons and loading depots, I would say these sets are quite similar. They both go very well with most of the freight wagons in the 12-volt era. 7727 in particular goes quite well with the number 7838, the freight loading depot with wagon, and 7730 is commonly paired with the 7816, the Shell tanker wagon from 1980. But really, they're good with any freight wagons. I would say that they're probably better with the shorter freight wagons because you don't really want to have a short engine pulling long wagons. So in particular, set 7816, 7813, 7821, so some of those smaller supplemental wagons. And then for freight loading depots, 7823 goes great with either of them. That wagon can be kind of attached to either of the trains and used as a accessory wagon and interacts well with the 7823, the actual container crane. So the big question is, if you can only buy one of these sets, which one should you buy and why? So my answer is going to be, for most people, 7730, and I've got a couple reasons behind this answer. But the biggest reason is that 7730 was released in 1980 at the start of the 12-volt era, and it's a really good starting point for your 12-volt collection. Now, if you can only buy one of these sets, I'm kind of assuming that you're in the beginning of your 12-volt journey, or you only want to buy a set or two. And I think if you can only buy one or two sets, 7730 is probably your better option because it was released at the start of the 12-volt era when they were making a whole bunch of new sets, and it really goes well with a bunch of the sets like from 1980. You may not want to start with a set from 1983 because if you kind of want to collect in chronological order, it's really nice to start with a set from 1980 and then collect all the stuff from 1980 and then go 1981, 1983. Another reason is, even though these sets are the same cost, 7730 does have two of the rare black 1x1x2 windows in the engine, which you can rebuild into a different steam engine if you'd like to, such as maybe the 7777 steam engine, whereas the 7727 only has the 1x2x2 black windows, which the 7730 also has. So you're getting two additional very, very rare windows in the 7730's engine. I would also say it's much easier to find 7730 with the box for a reasonable price. 7727 is usually either you find it without the box for like $250 to $350, or you find it with a box and it's extremely expensive, like $700 or $800. But 7730 you can find with a box in, like with no inner trays, for around $300 to $350 sometimes. So it's easier to get the box, and I think the box is a very valuable part of the set. I would say also 7730 is a little bit more common than 7727. So it may be easier to track a copy down that's in your country, and it will probably be in better condition because a lot of times So you'll see 7727s in poor conditions than 7730. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe because it didn't sell as well as 7730 in the 1980s. Now, I'm not saying here that 7727 is a bad set. It's certainly an extremely good set, and I think I might like it more than 7730. This differs from my purchase advice because I think in terms of chronological order and general what you should really be collecting first, I think 7730 is the better option, but personally I think 7727 actually looks a little bit nicer. They're very similar sets, but I think the goods wagons of 7727 and especially the engine, I think, looks a little bit cleaner, a little bit smoother than the 7730's engine and wagons. I also like the aspect that the box is very rare for this set. So if you can find a box in good condition, which I did, I was able to find a box in decent condition, it's kind of nice to own a rare box. So that's kind of the conclusion for today. If you can only buy one of these sets, I would go with 7730. Now, because I've finished all my other content, I can finally start building a big layout. So I'm going to end this video for today and actually start working on my layout. But first, I'm going to ask you to go over to Battery Powered Bricks, his channel, and subscribe to him. And if you'd like to talk to me or him or some other 12-volt fans, and if you're looking for general kind of information on 12-volt trains, there's a lot of good train heads in the Battery Powered Bricks Discord server. So I'm going to leave a link to that server down in the description. Any LEGO fans are welcome to join that server and talk with us about any kind of LEGO experiences you've had or advice that you'd want to hear or tips and tricks that you'd like to give. So be sure to join that server. Link is in the description. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video.